So in this video, I wanted to talk about how I was able to buy this Texas home at the age of 22. And I wanted to run through the financials, about what I paid for it, my process about finding it and paying for it, and why it's a better financial decision for you to buy a house versus renting. But first of all, let's do a quick tour around the home. So right off the bat, right when you walk into the house, you come into this room, and I already actually started DIYing it a bit, but this is basically going to be my quote-unquote plant room, and this just the entire space that I use for my plant channel that I have. And it's still very much so a work in progress, but we painted this a couple weeks ago. And yeah, it's definitely gonna be one of the highlights for me in the house. And then continuing down, we go into the kitchen. And just ignore these boxes, sorry, I was planting some stuff up yesterday. But we have some cabinets built into the wall here. We have windows all along the wall running down. And it's just a really spacious kitchen for what I'm used to, definitely. We finally have a pantry, which is super nice because that's another thing that I just never have had before. And then we will have a dining room set here at some point, but that is just barely shipped. Don't know when it's gonna come, probably gonna be delayed again. But we are waiting on that. And then if we come down this little hallway, we'll get to the guest bedrooms. One guest bedroom only has a broken desk in it at the moment because the movers did unfortunately break one of our desks, but we're trying to figure out that situation. And then the other room is where my husband works during his day job. And that's just his entire setup in there. And then over here, we do just have a standard run-of-the-mill guest bathroom with one of those shower tub combination things, but I hardly use this one. And then if we come down, we come to our little living area where we just have a couch and our TV, which my husband's wanting to get a much bigger TV, but we're still in the market for that a bit. And then after that, you come to the master bedroom and master bath, which is right next to our backyard. So we have a window overlooking that, and then the door to the backyard right here. And then excuse the little like mess and just emptiness. It looks like a frat boy's house, but we are working on that right now. It's just a bit empty since we literally just moved in. But this is our master bedroom, and this is literally probably just as big as our entire apartment was before, so I'm super happy to have this extra space, even in one room. But yeah, it's been really nice to actually have space to walk around and not have to like shimmy past everything you go towards. And then right off the master bedroom, we have the master bathroom, and this is once again just a very spacious bathroom in my opinion, just from what I'm used to. And as you can see, I've even moved some of my plants in here, so it's definitely taking over the house already. But we also have a pretty spacious master closet, which we filled a bit, but it just, yeah, it's, I don't know what to say about the master closet. But that's about it in terms of house tour that I'm gonna give right now. We'll do a more in-depth one when we get the house actually put together. And if you want to see the process of my plant room, I'm doing a video about that over on my plant channel at The Petite Plant if you want to check that out. It'll be out in a couple weeks. But the next updated house tour is coming maybe in a couple weeks, maybe a month, we'll see. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed the little house tour, but now I wanted to start from the beginning and talk about how I was able to purchase this home. With me and my husband both working remotely from our small one-bedroom apartment, it just made sense to buy and upgrade to a bigger house. And we both really enjoy working remotely, so we were okay with committing to staying in a specific location. So we decided to use our current savings plus a couple more months worth of savings to put down a deposit on a house, as well as have enough for closing costs, furniture, and as well just maintain that emergency fund. Once we had enough money saved up, the next thing we did was get pre-approved with multiple mortgage lenders. We got pre-approved with Chase Bank since that's who we bank with, but we also got pre-approved with Rocket Mortgage, Better Mortgage, and a few local mortgage companies. And overall, Better Mortgage actually had the lowest rates. And if you've shopped for mortgage rates over the last year or so, then you'll probably have seen that Better Mortgage almost always tops the lists for having the best rates. However, their customer service is not great. And more importantly, when you go to submit an offer on a house, you also have to submit a pre-approval letter. And submitting a Better Mortgage pre-approval letter just isn't as strong as submitting a pre-approval letter from a lender that's known to be reliable. We ended up choosing a local mortgage lender that had really good rates and was able to close in 2 to 3 weeks, which was not possible with most of the other mortgage lenders we were looking into. So after getting pre-approved, we got ourselves a real estate agent and started looking at some houses. We were looking for homes that had at least 1,500 square feet, 3 to 4 bedrooms, and a lot of windows, so there's plenty of natural light for my hundreds of houseplants. And we're also looking to stay below $350,000. We really didn't want to go too far above $300,000 because we wanted to keep our monthly payment relatively low. That way, if me or my husband were to choose to be a stay-at-home parent, or worse came to worse and one of us lost our jobs, then we'd still be able to afford that monthly payment on one income while also saving a bit to invest every month. We realized that we could potentially afford to purchase the home for like $600,000, which in Texas can get you a crazy nice dream home basically. And even though it was tempting, we figured that we didn't want to have to rely on a double income in order to live in a house like that, since we both might not be working forever. And we also didn't want to over leverage ourselves and basically be house rich but cash poor. So we thought it'd be smarter to go for a cheaper house for now, which is still going to be really nice, and that way we can still save a significant amount of money to invest each month. So after going to lots of open houses and kind of getting more of a feel for what we liked in a home, we finally found one that we loved. It was quite a big house and it had 4 bedrooms plus a swimming pool. It was the first house that we had seen that we could actually see ourselves living in and being happy in, so we wanted to put an offer in on it. However, right as the agent was drafting up our offer, we started doing some more research on the house and saw that it had been listed a month ago. And then it had been taken off the market for a while before being listed again when we saw it. We thought that was kind of strange, so we asked the realtor to talk to the seller's agent to see what happened there. And our realtor was basically a brand new agent in her early 20s. And we really wanted to give her a chance because we were pretty sure she hadn't done any sales before, and we kind of sympathized with her on that. We know how hard it is to be a realtor in your first year of your career trying to get the ball rolling. So then our realtor came back to us saying that she spoke to the seller's agent and he said that it was just taken down for some repair work and it's nothing to worry about and we should just put in our offer. And to us it sounded like something that was really worth knowing if the house had to be taken off the market to be fixed. So we asked her if she could find out anything more from the seller's agent. And basically our agent really couldn't give us any answers and we weren't too impressed with how she handled the situation. It felt like she really wasn't on our side and was rather just trying to get the commission as quick and easy as possible. Also, when I was on the phone with her, I could actually hear an agent, I assume, whispering all the answers to the questions that I was asking her, which was so awkward because I would ask her a question and then there would be this really awkward 15-second pause of silence where I could hear the agent whispering the answer and then she would just recite that answer right back to me. So although we wanted to give this new agent a chance, we still expected her to do a good job, so we ultimately decided to find a new agent. So I went back to my original plan, which I had actually initially skipped, which was researching, asking for referrals, and interviewing a bunch of agents to find a really good one. So we did the proper due diligence and found another agent that actually knew her stuff. So we ended up putting in offers on 2 houses, both around $300,000, and we had to put $20K over the asking. And putting $20K over the asking price is really necessary in this market because it's literally so competitive that if you don't put over the asking price by a significant amount, you are not going to win a housing bid. And all the houses that we were seeing were selling for well over the asking price and lots of times for all cash. So we were very disappointed and surprised when we found out that neither of our offers were accepted. And this is despite us thinking we had a really competitive offer since we were pre-approved for conventional loans and we offered well over the asking price, as well as paying for a bunch of fees that the seller would typically pay for. We were very aware of the state of the housing market and how competitive it is right now, since my husband works for a real estate private equity firm and basically puts dozens of offers in on houses every day. But it still sucked seeing houses that we basically loved and not getting our offer accepted. We also started considering buying a new build house, but we quickly found out that the market for new build homes was basically just as competitive and we'd have to go on a minimum 4-month wait list just to decide if we even wanted to build, and then it would take another 8 months to actually build the home. So realizing that wasn't really an option for us in terms of time frame, we went back out looking at houses. We found this really nice house located about 20 minutes east of Dallas. It was in a new and up and coming area and it really fit what we were looking for. It was built in 2015 and it was really new and it had 3 bedrooms plus an office. And it was only $265,000, so we put in an aggressive offer at $285,000, which is $20,000 over the asking price. And luckily that offer was accepted, so that is this house that you've seen today. And everything went really smoothly during the closing process. And we were really worried that the house wouldn't appraise at our offer price of $285,000 since it was $20,000 over the asking. But we took a look at comparable sales in the area and we really felt that our home was underpriced to begin with. And the appraisal actually came back at $286,000, so we gained an instant $1,000 of equity, which was really nice. But now I wanted to dig into the numbers and show why it was financially smarter for us to buy a house rather than continue to rent our apartment. So for my 1-bedroom, 600 square foot apartment, the total amount I was paying monthly was $1,300, and that included the rent itself, the utilities like electricity, water, sewage, and garbage, and all that sort of stuff. For my new house, which I purchased for $285,000, I'll be paying a monthly mortgage payment of $1,050, which is based on my 10% down payment and my almost record low 30-year fixed mortgage rate of 2.75%. Then I'll also have to pay mortgage insurance, which is $40 a month. This is an extra payment you have to make to secure the mortgage lender when you put down less than 20%. Then I'll also have to pay approximately $540 a month in property taxes because the property taxes are incredibly high in Texas, but there's no state income tax, so it kind of balances out. I'll also have to pay around $130 a month in homeowners insurance, $40 a month in HOA fees, and I'll assume around $200 a month in utilities. So in total, I'll be paying around $2,000 a month to live in my new home. And of course, $2,000 a month seems like a lot more than the $1,300 that I was spending to live in my apartment. But here's where it gets interesting. When you make monthly payments towards paying off your mortgage, a portion of that goes towards paying off the interest of the mortgage, and then the other portion goes towards paying off the principal, until you finally pay off the mortgage over the course of the 30-year term. During my first year of ownership, I'll be paying off around $465 a month in principal, which is equity I'm building in the home, so it's not really a cost. It's more like a forced savings account that's trapped in your home until you sell it or refinance it. Another form of savings I'll receive from owning a house versus renting is tax savings. As a homeowner, you're allowed to deduct your taxable income by the amount you spend on your mortgage interest payments and property taxes. So in my case, I'll be spending around $1,120 a month on interest payments and taxes, so I'll be able to reduce my taxable income by $1,120 a month. And since my marginal tax rate is 22%, that means that I'm going to be able to reduce the amount of taxes I pay by around $245 a month. So now if we factor in these savings to the total monthly cost of owning my house, we have $2,000 total payment, subtract $465 in mortgage principal payoff, and subtract the $245 I'll save in taxes, and then the true cost to own my house is $1,290, which is funnily enough just a little cheaper than my $1,300 I was spending to live in my 1-bedroom apartment. And I haven't even factored in the other benefits of owning a house, like how it appreciates over time and how I have a fixed mortgage payment. Whereas if I were to continue renting, over time my rental payments would increase due to inflation. Overall, buying a house is a really good decision for me. It fits my lifestyle, and I'm just really pleased with the house we were able to find and what we've already been able to do with it. But that's it for the video today, guys. If you enjoyed, please make sure you hit that like button so my video does get promoted to more people and my channel can continue to grow. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.